Who's being hysterical?
Both of you. Trump doesn't need, first of all, AP
You
to
obviously
take
don't know what a hysterical and a Navarro is like.
No,
I really would rather you not refer to me as hysterical for expressing an opinion. I think that's incredibly disrespectful. I don't do it to you.
What? Doesn't this feel like a really weird, like, wokeism thing on the right? Like, it feels like the right's version of, like, Latinx or...
Okay, are those the next outlets to be punished? I believe that there's 2 genders, and then Biden tells me that there's 73. I don't comply with that.
Yeah, but Biden
what
truth do you care about?
I care about the American truth.
After NPR and PBS, they're going after NBC, Universal, and Comcast over their corporate practices around DEI. What
false information? If to not call it what
they can call it.
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into this panel. These MAGA pundits are just getting, I swear, they're getting dumber and dumber. Check this out, and we'll talk about it.
For an administration that claims to champion free speech, it is certainly a fan of silencing people. For the second straight day, the Associated Press is the largest news organization in the world, and it now has been banned from the White House and from the Oval Office over the AP's refusal to adopt Trump's preferred name for the Gulf of Mexico.
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is.
Says the person who talked about $50 billion worth of condoms in Gaza, but that is neither here nor there. Brian Stelter is with us, also with us, Emily Austin.
Emily Austin, dumbass, believed that too. Like,
look, this is putting aside her points about lies being told in the briefing room.
Right.
There's some really interesting questions happening here about whether the White House can compel news organizations to talk about things in a particular way.
This is a power play, plain and simple. The president wants people to obey. He wants people to use the words he chooses. He wants people to fall in line, and if they don't, they lose their access. They're not allowed to be in the company of the president. Notably, in the last 2 days, when the AP reporters have been blocked, in one case, I'm told physically blocked from entering the Oval Office, the photographer was still allowed in, the AP photographer, right? Because the president still wants his photo taken.
Pictures,
he wants the pictures, but not the words. This is a First Amendment violation, and I expect in the next few days, the AP will file suit. And they have a very strong case in court. This is yet another example where the courts will be the recourse for presidential action.
Brian, what are the other media outlets doing?
Right now,
yeah,
they're still showing up, they're still asking questions, but that's right, the Correspondents Association has condemned this and called it unacceptable. I think you're suggesting maybe reporters should, what, skip the briefing?
Should band together, because, I mean, listen,
Q&As?
if the bully manages to bully one, he's not going to stop at one.
I don't think this is as emotional as you're making it out to be. You know, take away the hysteria for a moment. First off, Trump doesn't need
Who's
AP
being
to
hysterical?
Take, both of you. Trump doesn't need, first of all, AP
You
to
obviously
take
don't know what a
photographs.
hysterical and a Navarro is
I
like.
just believe it comes down to compliance.
That's true,
Trump put out an executive order. There was an executive order. He changed the name legally to Gulf of America. They're United States-based. I know they're international as well, but right now they're covering U.S. politics. So if he makes an executive order, they should respect that. And if they don't, being there is not a right, it's a privilege.
So I'm just going to add in here, though, that this has been called the Gulf of Mexico for 400 years, and every other nation calls it the Gulf of Mexico. So just because Trump claims that we need to...
States.
Okay, but doesn't this feel like a really weird, like, wokeism thing on the right? Like, it feels like the right's version of, like, Latinx or, like, birthing person. It just feels like a really weird hill to die on.
Nobody, by the way, just to be clear, nobody...
and guys, that used to be Trump's communication director. I don't know if she's an independent now or still Republican. Yeah, she's right. As a Hispanic, Latino, I've never heard anyone use Latinx. I don't give a shit about it. If you're a type of person like, oh my God, you call me Latinx, I'm going to vote for Trump. I think you're an absolute moron. But Emily Austin, guys, let me tell you something about her. I've seen her online a couple times. She truly has a hand-countable amount of brain cells. And I hate to be so mean. I'm not this kind of person. She's just one of these right-wing, just complete conspiracy theorist nut jobs. And I don't know if she really believes this stuff. I just know that they get rich off morons that do believe this stuff. It's all about the views. The crazier thing you say about the other side, the crazier the conspiracy, Jewish bait slaves or whatever it is, $50 billion in condoms, it's red meat for them.
Had
Outlets
to
to cover it.
comply with any of that.
Yeah, if the
I don't think I've
Biden,
ever
if
said
the
the words
Biden
birthing
administration did that,
And if they
people
did, I
would be
think
up in arms.
your heads would be exploding at this table.
Maybe
If someone said to
they
you,
should
you've got
call
to
it
refer to people as
they should
birthing
adopt
people.
the Prince method. Just have a little symbol called the Gulf, formerly known as the Gulf of Mexico, which should now be called whatever the hell.
There's a much broader.
The Gulf of whatever the hell he wants.
There's a much broader danger. Today, it's the Gulf of.
Emily Austin doesn't even know that Anna Navarro is mocking it. She's like, no, we should seriously do this. Why not call it the Gulf of Trump? These idiots would agree with it. These MAGA pundits will agree with it. The Gulf of the orange races. I prefer that one. What if Biden decided to do that? We're gonna call this the Gulf of racist Trump. He signed an executive order. He can do it. You guys are so stupid. Can't understand why Trump is called a fascist just because somebody won't call it what he wants to call it. 400 years it's been called this, and because they won't call it the stupid nonsense that he's saying it, he's barring them from reporting. No, Trump is not a fascist. He's not a fascist at all. Guys, you know J.D. Vance, Trump's ex-wife that he switched them over for Elon Musk. Remember that guy? He called Trump a Hitler. He called him a fascist because he saw these kinds of tendencies. Dumbasses. And once he saw that he could get a chance of becoming a vice president, he threw all those morals out the window. And now he's defending races that are making fun of his own kid's race, his own wife's race.
Mexico or the Gulf of America. Tomorrow, what is it? The president says there's only two genders in this world. We all know transgender people. What happens when the AP reports on transgender Americans? What happens when CNN or ABC or the New York Times?
Okay,
Are those the next
what
outlets
if
to
I
be
believe
punished?
that there's two genders and then Biden tells me that there's 73? I don't comply with that.
Yeah, but
The Biden administration
isn't
isn't barring Fox News from covering press conferences.
Right, he's not going to ban you from
And Trump
coming
hasn't
to the
done
White
that
House
yet.
because
This
you
is
have a
what I
different
mean
belief.
about it.
For the last 2 days, though, the AP has been blocked from attending events that it's attended for decades.
Executive
You
order.
know, I really would rather you not refer to me
ban AP?
as hysterical for expressing an opinion. I think that's incredibly disrespectful. I don't do it to you.
Why do you think the AP won't just call it the Gulf of America? I mean,
That's
the
petty
president
for me.
does
let me
rename
just-
things. We rename what's the mountain, Denali,
Okay.
Mount McKinley.
Let
Let
me read their explanation for why they are not doing it. Essentially, they are saying that Mexico, the Trump's order only carries authority within the United States. Mexico, as well as other countries and international bodies, do not have to recognize that name change. The Gulf of Mexico has carried that name for 400 years. As was said at the table, and the Associated Press is going to refer to it by its original name, while acknowledging that Trump has a new name that he would like to call it. They are an international organization. No one except Trump with a pen has said that it's the Gulf of America. It's a body of water that also has borders with another country, and it's been named that for 400 years.
I know, but we have a lawful process in this country for changing the name of it. The president went through it with the Secretary of the Interior, by the way. I mean, it feels a little
different. Can I just answer your Denali question? The Denali thing is actually different because that's a place that's in the United States proper. It exists in
But we changed
in
the name
this
of it.
country.
The point is we changed the name
we
of it.
have the ability
It
to
does
change the
happen.
name. It's Mount
so-
McKinley. It's Mount McKinley.
But we also have the ability to change this body of water. I think, look, this smacks to me of a news organization looking for a way to pick a fight with Donald Trump over something that they don't need to pick a fight over.
Exactly.
A.
It's petty.
B, he is the president, and there is a
wait.
lawful process
But
that he
Scott,
did follow to do it.
The news
and so
organization
why
did
won't they
not
just
pick a fight
respect
with
that?
Donald Trump over this. Donald Trump picked a fight with the news organization.
No, they're not calling
over
it by the name.
No,
That's the
the
fight.
news organization can do whatever they want. If they want to call it the Gulf of South America, they can call it
But
that.
why would I
Donald
respect
Trump
a news
doesn't-
organization that
Yeah,
doesn't deal in reality?
but
You don't have
false
to.
information
Scott,
if to not
Scott,
call it what
they
it is.
can call it whatever they want because there's free speech in this country. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, but that, in my opinion, if you're not willing to call something by the proper name based on the laws of the United States, that calls into question your judgment. And are you a news organization,
by the way,
or are you
there
just
are no laws in play here. It's an executive order,
but-
and the body of water is not named by the United States. It's named
Sure it
by
is.
global organizations that name global landmarks.
Would it
That's
be-
not.
I mean,
it's not. There's
So,
no
so
law.
you don't.
Guys, you have to understand. I know this is not that important, right? Who cares about the name of it? But it just shows. One of the main reasons I have this channel is to show the character of the Republican Party. Scott Jennings and the one with countable brain cells, Emily Austin, they'll defend anything. They're forced to. You have to understand this. It's probably eating him up inside that he even has to defend this nonsense. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he's a cultist. But the point is that they're so weak. They're so weak about getting spanked by their daddy. Guys, Byron Donald called him daddy. These people are out of their effing mind. And they're willing to capitulate. They're so weak and they care only about their careers and about their pockets being lined up that they're willing to lie to everyone. And we're the crazy ones because we don't want to join in on the cult. MAGA, at some point you gotta look at what this is. You're being effing played. They think you're fools.
You don't respect Donald Trump's executive order or the Secretary of the Interior's process on this either.
Donald Trump had an executive order, but the Associated Press is not bound by it.
Scott,
That's
what
the
if
bottom line.
the
Well,
Biden
that's their
administration
choice.
did this, though, similarly? What if the Biden administration was barring, say, a Fox News because they weren't going along with an executive order where Biden said you must refer to every single transgender person as they, them, or whatever it was?
I think if you want to engage in a...
would you be supportive of that, then?
Yeah,
I think
no,
that
no,
it gets really dangerous when we start forcing terminology on people. I didn't like it when the left did it with things like Latinx, birthing person, you name
these
it.
things are not in any way, shape, or form
no,
related.
they're remotely
the Biden
similar.
administration treated...
The Democrats never barred someone for you not using a word. That's the difference, Scott. Guys, this is all just about Trump trying to control the media. And Republicans, why do you think he wants to control the media? Because he's going to do things that you're not going to like. And he doesn't want you to know about it. Can't you see this?
the press as poorly as any president has ever treated them, gave them less access, answered no questions, no transparency at any given time. Donald Trump's answered more questions in 3 weeks than Joe Biden answered in 4 years. Elon Musk answered more than...
And also, a lot of the answers...
Come on, Brian.
Also,
This administration is giving the most access to the press they could possibly want.
Just to be clear, it's also changing the subject, and we're not changing the subject.
But you're asking about transparency.
No,
Can the news be covered?
Actually,
and
we're
yes, it's
talking
being
about
covered.
the First Amendment. Freedom of speech.
Is he being
The
covered?
AP will win in
That's what we're
court.
talking
Look, the
about.
AP is going to win in court. If they go to court, the AP will win, just as CNN won in 2018 when a press credential was revoked. We're going to see the courts speak out on behalf of the First Amendment here.
I'm with Scott here that if he changes the name to the Gulf of America, whether they like it or not, them not calling it that, they are based out of the U.S. I get that they're an international organization. It's simply they're not reporting on the truth. So now if you're the president, you can argue they're not reporting
Emily,
the truth.
wouldn't
So
you
why are they
agree that
qualified
the
to be
truth
here?
is also that the rest of the world calls it the Gulf of
So
Mexico?
technically, every other country could change the name of it too in their own country. Then the journalists should comply with whatever their country
but
wants
Emily,
to call
wouldn't
it.
you agree that the truth is also that every other country in the world calls it the Gulf of Mexico?
That's fine, but Donald Trump put an executive order to
which
change
truth
it.
do you care about?
I care about the American truth.
Okay,
So
okay.
the
So let's
American
just be
truth
clear
is that
about it.
Trump
You
changed
only
the name.
care about
So
the
US
version of
journalists-
truth that Donald Trump
I believe
says is
This
true.
feels like a really
US
weird hill to
journalists-
die on and something to get quite hysterical over. It feels like it's actually ridiculous.
weird
that
hill
this
to die
is
on.
so
It's the
pathetic.
opposite of a hill.
Why is
It's a
he
slippery
dying on
slope.
this hill?
Hang on a second,
Gulf of
Brian.
Mexico.
I agree. We have bigger
Guys,
things to focus
I do
on.
want to
Above
talk
and
about
beyond.
one very important thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of treatment of the media, the
Like, you don't see how pathetic that is? Like, again, they'll defend anything. They won't talk back to the D leader. Because he's going to spank them.
FCC is going after media companies.
Yes.
They're going after NPR and PBS. They're going after NBC, Universal, and Comcast over their corporate practices around DEI. What authority do they have to
The
do
FCC has never done this under Republicans or Democrats before. The current FCC chair appointed by Trump wants to be different, wants to do things differently. That's what he's doing. But this all smacks of an attempt to pressure every major media company in the U.S. except for Fox News. In terms of
that? Which, by
license
the way,
holders,
until
all the others are under pressure
maybe
right
2
now.
or 3 weeks ago, also had DEI practices as part of their
Yes, it did.
corporate governance.
Yes, it did. We
Because
talked
they're
about-
a private corporation,
And it can do what it wants.
and it can do
Republicans, MAGA out there, did you hear that? Fox had DEI. Do you understand why they did? It's not because it was losing the money. You morons, you're getting played. They did it because the study showed that it's more profitable to have diversity within your company. Are you starting to see how you're being played? How they're constantly using DI in a disgusting racist way. 9 out of 10 times they're using it as a racial slur. Or at least some form of bigoted slur. 9 out of 10 times they're talking about black people. And it's disgusting. But at the same time using those same programs because they know that it's profitable. Do you not see how you're being tricked? And guess who else is doing this stuff to you? All the YouTubers you're following. They know the facts on this. They just know that you have anger and hate in your heart. And they play on that. They get views on that. Wake up.
But at once, except maybe not. I mean, are we okay with the government telling corporations how they can govern themselves?
There's nothing less conservative than that, and less of a Republican value than that. I mean, Republicans used to be for small government and for the private sector governing themselves, and we are for less regulation, supposedly. And so I see it so opposed to all of the things that we grew up believing.
So you're saying we should do away with the FCC?
No, I'm not saying we should do away with the FCC.
Is that the conservative view?
I'm saying that no government agency should be
stop this conversation right there because I think it's so.
I mean, we're in the mood right now.
Scott,
it's
in such bad faith for you to take what she just said
well,
and then say you want to get rid of the FCC.
No, she said we should have less regulations. This is a regulatory agency. What are they supposed to do?
That's not at all what she said.
She said they shouldn't be so active.
What's your answer to her question about whether the FCC should be dabbling in Comcast and NBC Universal and saying, this is how you need to run your corporation?
Well, I mean, I think these public broadcasters, I mean, they do have these licenses because it's the public airwaves, and that's the reason the regulatory agency exists. So, you know, that's the way it's always worked. I truthfully don't know what the right answer here is. This is a more muscular look at these. Trump, obviously, and his people feel that some of these people have run amok with with the privilege of having these licenses. So I don't know what the answer is.
I love when you say that. All I know right now, you said slippery slope earlier. We are slipping. Like we're 3 weeks in and we are slipping.
Everything is fine. Everything is fine and dandy when your guy is in charge, but when the other party is in charge.
Scott, punk ass. You know what the answer is. That's why you wouldn't say, I don't know. It's kind of a muscular thought to have. What the hell are you talking about? Of course it's insane to try to force companies to get rid of programs that they have within their companies. It clearly is a problem. Guys, Trump is literally forcing companies to be less profitable by getting rid of DEI. Guys, DEI has shown to have benefited white women the most. This is incredible. It's incredible how stupid he is. White women overwhelmingly voted for Trump. Hand countable brain cells. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Please leave a comment. I try to read just about all of them. Please subscribe if you're not, and I'll catch you in the next one.